Don't start your t-shirt business until you watch this video. There's a reason why most t-shirt businesses fail most of the time before they even get started. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of those reasons so you don't make those same mistakes. What's up everyone, Mario here with Nego Prints. And if you haven't done so already, just make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. On this channel, we cover anything and everything crafting related, starting from some of the best tips and tricks to be able to help you get started in the business to some more advanced tips to help you succeed. Now, not only that, but we also cover some different money-making tips and techniques on this channel. So if that's something that interests you, just make sure you hit that subscribe button. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is information overload. When you get started Googling things, especially if it's something new that you've never even looked at before, you're potentially going to come across a lot of information and you're going to come across information overload. Your brain is just going to go. Now, that is normal. Everyone is going to feel this at one point, especially if they're trying something new. But the key thing to do here is just take a step back, take a breather, and assess the situation. So you decide you want to start printing t-shirts. You start looking up different ways to do these things. You look up on YouTube, you look up on Google, you start asking on Facebook. Everyone has something different to say about everything. The first thing that you need to remember is not everything is going to work for everyone. So because of that, always keep an open mind. Now, when it comes to all of the different methods of printing, it can be overwhelming because there are a lot of different ways to do things, especially now. Compared to when I first started, things weren't as mainstream, so there were a few less options. But regardless of the situation or the time, there were still a lot of options, and I myself was also presented with information overload. So in this case, you need to do the same thing. Take a step back, take a breather, and start listing out the different ways that there are to do things. Then start listing out the different pros and the different cons to each. So for example, take heat transfer vinyl and start listing out the pros to this. Heat transfer vinyl, some pros are single runs, perfect for one-off shirts, and for the most part, you don't have to have a minimum order quantity. Now the cons, sometimes they're limited to one colors, and you have to learn how to layer the different colors in order to get the effect that you want. Another con, you can't do full color unless there's a hack. But at this point in time, don't worry about the hacks, just worry about the main points. Concern yourself with the main points. Don't worry too much about the minor details. For example, with sublimation. When you start listing out the pros and cons to sublimation, one of your cons is definitely going to be the fact that you can only do this on polyester. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to start thinking, why can't I do this on polyester? Is there a way around it? Don't worry about why you can't do certain things. That's something that you can start to figure out later on down the line. Right now, again, only concern yourself with the main points. Because when you're starting, you're not going to be starting off with different hacks. You're going to be starting off with the bare basics. And then you're going to start building on top of those basics. And eventually you might start coming out with your own hacks or your own way of doing things, which ultimately at the end of the day, that's what most of us end up doing. We end up finding out what's best for us and we go that way. Always make sure to take a step back and take a breather, because a lot of people, when they come across this information overload, they'll just quit. They won't try to think about how to simplify it, because at the end of the day, when you do understand these things, it does become a lot simpler. And then you look back and you think, why couldn't I figure this out? Why was I struggling so much? Now, another thing is people try to sell anything and everything. They will literally just put thanks on a t-shirt and try to sell that for $35 and say it's a designer shirt. Don't do that. It's never going to sell, especially if you don't have a client base already. Also, when it comes to choosing designs, don't go necessarily by what you like. You need to start thinking about what everyone else likes, because not everyone has the same taste that you do. There might be some things that you like that literally nobody else likes. And because of that, you need to research trends. So you need to start looking on websites like Etsy, Amazon, eBay, see what kind of clothes, see what kind of designs are selling, and start taking it from there. Start getting ideas based off of those different designs and those different niches. If you come up with a design and it's not selling, no matter what you do, no matter how much advertising you're doing, you're not getting any comments, you're not getting any sales on Etsy or eBay or your own website, there's probably a reason behind it. One, you could have the wrong targeting. Two, the design itself might just not be that good. In this case, again, take a step back, look at it, assess it, make sure it is actually something that looks good. Make sure it's something that you would purchase yourself. Also, the image or images that you're using, are they mock-ups or are they real photos? If they're real photos, does it have good lighting? Can you see the picture clearly? Can you see the image clearly? Can you see the entire t-shirt clearly? Do you have pictures from multiple angles, from the front, the back, people wearing it, the shirt by itself? Always make sure that when you're taking your own pictures that the design and the t-shirt itself is clear in picture and has good lighting. Make sure it's not too dark in some spots. Make sure there's not too many shadows. Make sure you don't have an overly complicated or cluttered background. All of these things make a huge difference. Now, if you're using mockups and you're making your own mockups using either a mockup generator or a service like Vexels or Photoshop, then make sure you have good mockups. Take a look at the difference between this mockup and this mockup. Huge difference, right? Now, one of them, this one, the one that's done better, is actually done using a template. And I got that template from Vexels. These templates are really easy to customize, and you can simply drag and drop the image to where you want it to on a particular layer in the image using a photo editing software like Photoshop. Now, this other one, I also used Photoshop for it, but I literally just took a picture of a t-shirt and put a design right on top of it. No matter how cool a design is, it's not going to look right. It's going to look out of place. And it's going to look like just exactly what I did. Like you just took the image and slapped it on top of a t-shirt. It looks bad, and people aren't going to buy that because you can't really tell or even get an idea as to how the shirt was going to look when it's finally printed. Now, these kind of mockups can work sometimes, especially if you're only using it to show the placement of a design. But most of the times in that case, it's when you're working with a client and you're just really showing them really quick where it's going to land on the shirt. If you're running your own store, like let's say on Etsy or eBay, you can have the designs that you like and just keep them up there, but also include other types of designs. Try to vary the design styles a little bit and see what works. After a while, once you realize that one particular style of shirt or design starts working, then you can start making more that are similar to that. And little by little, you can start tweaking your design style so that way you can start making more successful shirts based off of prior successful designs. Remember not to get discouraged if you don't get any sales, especially at the beginning. These things are hard and they take time. So if you start selling on Etsy today, you might not see any sales for maybe a month, maybe 2 months. It's really all going to depend on you. It's going to depend on your designs, how many products you have uploaded, your keywords in each designs, the tags, the description. This all plays into how easily searched they are. So always try to include main keywords in your descriptions and your titles, and if you have the option to, on your tags as well. So if you have, let's say, a Star Wars cat parody t-shirt, right? Cat Wars. If you have a Cat Wars shirt, you want to tag cats, galaxies, galactic, spaceships, movie, things like that. Do you want to put Star Wars directly in the title? Probably not, because then you might get in trouble for copyrights, or you might get a copyright strike or something like that. Even though the shirt itself doesn't actually have to do with Star Wars, it's a parody, it's best to avoid those particular and specific keywords. And that's another thing. Don't base your store off of copyright material. So don't start an anime store and start selling Dragon Ball merch, because you're not licensed to do that and you can get cracked down with copyright infringement. Also, when you're actually starting your store, like when you actually decide to start your online store, know the pros and the cons to each marketplace that you're selling on. So if you're selling on your own website, let's say you open up a Shopify store, which if you want to try out Shopify, you can check out the link in the description down below. Right now, using my link, you can get an extended trial for just $1 each month for 3 months. It's not a bad trial. 3 months for $3 for Shopify, so you can see if you like the system. If you decide to go with something like Shopify, then you have to remember that people aren't going to know that your site exists. Nobody's going to know that www.animationcreation.com exists. It's going to be up to you to bring in customers. It's going to be up to you to direct traffic from different places, different websites, so that way you can potentially start making some sales. Now, how do you do that? There's a few different ways. For one, you can try something like influencer marketing. So you can look up some influencers on Instagram or TikTok, reach out to them and ask them, hey, can I send you some free merch? Can I send you maybe 1 or 2 different shirts and promote it on your page? You make a video for me, you make a post for me, whatever it may be. Just make sure they are legit and trustworthy, because it's happened to me a lot of times where I choose certain creators and I just never get anything in return. I send them the products or I send them the shirts and never hear from them again. You also have the option to run Facebook ads. Facebook ads are great because, contrary to popular belief, there's definitely a demographic of people that use Facebook. Whether it be the older generation or the newer generation, there is still going to be people on there that you can target that aren't using other platforms. So you can be targeting people on Facebook ads, while you can also be doing TikTok ads or just making regular TikTok videos to attract people from that platform. Now, when you're selling on your own website, you can pretty much sell whatever you want. You can make a Dragon Ball t-shirt and nobody's going to tell you anything until the actual company or a representative from the company comes across your site, and then they can potentially send you a cease and desist letter. Don't think that it's not going to happen to you, because it definitely happens. Now, when you're selling on a platform like, let's say, Etsy or eBay, it's a lot easier to get caught with copyright infringement, because there's people on those websites actively looking for people that are selling trademarked items, especially the big names. I remember back when I first started, I uploaded something that was based around Harry Potter, and I actually put the name Harry Potter in the title, and I believe it was in the description as well. It immediately sent it to the inactive, and I got an email saying that it was sent to inactive because of copyright infringement. So some websites actually already have certain filters in place to be able to block listings that infringe on copyright or trademarks. So always be original. Don't go with trademarked items. If somebody reaches out to you to do a birthday t-shirt, let's say a Mickey birthday t-shirt, that's also copyright infringement. Now, at that point, honestly, that's really up to you whether you want to take that job or not. Me personally, if I get a call from my uncle's, cousin's, brother's, grandma's, mom's best friend in Chile asking for a Mickey birthday shirt and Mickey birthday onesie, I'll do it.
You're just a thief.
But I do have to make it clear that I'm not getting paid for that, and it is a gift. Now, the single most important thing that I want everyone to take away from this video, the reason your t-shirt business could fail, you're asking too many questions, and you're not trying to figure out these answers by yourself. Now, I get it. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you can't figure something out. And the easiest thing to do is go on a Facebook group and ask a question and get a direct answer. Now, that's not always going to be an option. And at the same time, that's not necessarily the healthiest thing to do. You need to get into the habit of Googling things, because coming from somebody that worked in IT, Google is your best friend. Everything that you need to know, you can find on either Google or YouTube. I've seen this a lot. I've seen a lot of people go on Facebook groups and say, can you remove this background for me? Can somebody do this for me? Stop doing that. Do it yourself. Figure it out. It's extremely simple to remove a background, especially nowadays. But it's things like this that really attribute to the failure of a business, because people don't know how to Google things themselves. You need to figure out how to do things yourself. And once you've exhausted all of your options and you've tried everything that you can think of, and you've actually spent some time trying to figure out this problem, then go to Facebook and ask for a solution. It's these kinds of experiences that are going to shape you going forward, because if you can figure out a problem, you're going to feel a lot better about yourself, and you're going to be more motivated to continue going. And then eventually, once you come across another problem, that problem could potentially be made easier because of the solution that you found from a prior problem. And that actually brings me to the last point that I want to make. Don't close yourself off to just what you're doing. So if you're only working with heat transfer vinyl, open up your mind a bit and think about how beneficial something like sublimation can be for your business, or using something like screen print transfers. I was extremely stubborn and I did not want to use screen print transfers. I was sticking to vinyl all the way 100%. But then eventually one day I decided, you know what, I'm going to try screen print transfers. I'm going to see what all the hullabaloo is, and hopefully I like it. If not, I just won't use them again. I received my screen print transfers. I did all the work. I calculated my profits, and lo and behold, I love screen print transfers now more than I do vinyl. But then again, I use them in certain situations, and I know when to use them in those certain situations because I learned what they're best for and what vinyl is best for and what it's not best for. Going back all the way back to my first point, where you need to take a step back, assess what you're doing, assess each method, find out the pros and cons, and then figure out a way around them. But that's just about everything that you need to know before you start your own t-shirt business, and why most t-shirt businesses fail before they even start. If you enjoyed this video, if you liked it, if you found it informational, please make sure to leave a like, and also make sure you hit that subscribe button. It truly does help me and it helps the channel a lot. Once again, my name is Mario with Neko Prints, and catch y'all next time. Peace.